Tim Miller is back with us. Also joining me, NBC's Dasha Burns. Talk to me a little bit about Trump's comments over the weekend. It was a long interview.
It was a very long interview, 90-some minutes. And look, there are these two parallel tracks of what's happening with this verdict. There's the legal piece of it, that process that's playing out that, really potentially could be a serious threat to former President Trump. And then there's the political track. And there, his campaign and Trump himself, they are trying to take as much advantage as they can of actually that possibility of jail time, though if you talk to lawyers, they say that's very unlikely. But he's out there on fundraising notes, on text messages on social media, calling himself a political prisoner. He sent a fundraising email earlier today saying they want to put me in prison for 187 years, which, of course, even if he were to go to jail, that would not be the case. Calling for an unprecedented response to his supporters out of this verdict. So they are using that to, again, rally the base and to fundraise. He's already raised tens of millions of dollars off of this, Chris.
Yeah, they say it was a record couple of days or at least 24 hours.
Yeah, we won't be able to check that until we can see the financial disclosures, but that's what they're telling us.
That's what they're saying. Oh, Tim, let me ask you about the new poll, okay, from ABC. Or do you want to tell me why you're shaking your head right now?
Sometimes I feel like we're in an alternate universe and like I'm in Neverland or something here where it's like, oh, this might be good. I'd like to see some evidence that it might be good for him. It's only Donald Trump that gets this treatment, that where pundits go out there and are like, maybe it'll be good for him that he has 34 felony counts. And that he might go to jail or that he might have an ankle bracelet on when he gets the Republican nomination. It's hard for me to go back to 2016 and think of a pundit going on TV and being like, man, if Hillary goes to jail for these emails, that might be a big boost to her campaign. It would have been a preposterous thing to say. And so I color me skeptical that I think that there is some fundraising benefit, but outside of that, I'm still pretty skeptical that there's a political benefit.
So let's talk about, again, early polls. A lot can happen between now and when people actually get their ballots, but 52% of independents believe the jury reached the right verdict and think it should end his campaign. And those double haters, the folks who don't like Trump or Biden, 65% say the verdict was correct. 67% say it should end Trump's bid for the White House. So tell us how you read that poll.
Well, those are the crucial voters, the double haters. And they come in all shapes and sizes, right? There are some double haters that are very liberal, that are unhappy with Joe Biden about inflation or Gaza. There's some that are my people, the Nikki Haley, former Republican type voters. And so, I think the fact that there is such an overwhelming response among that group, 2/3, that thought that the verdict was correct, I think is very telling and very important. And if you just look at 2016 and 2020, the double haters, they broke late for Trump in 2016. They broke late for Biden in 2020. Or they didn't break late for Biden, but they stuck with Biden late in 2020. And that was the key difference. So I do think it's important. And again, going back to the political element of this, it definitely seems like this trial will have at least some impact to them. How long will it stay? There are other factors. We have multiple debates ahead. I don't know if it's prescriptive of what happens in November, but I think it shows that it's not a winner for Trump.
So in that same interview that we've just been talking about, Dasha, Trump talked about this now familiar phrase from 2016's campaign, referring to Hillary Clinton, and denied something we all know happened. Let me play that from the interview.
Hillary Clinton, I didn't say lock her up, but the people would all say lock her up, lock her up. Okay, then we won. And I said pretty openly, I say, all right, come on, just relax.
I didn't say lock her up. Remind us what actually happened.
Yeah, not quite true. And just quickly to Tim's point, I don't know. I'm just a journalist out there watching and listening and trying to bring that to
but
the
talking
viewers.
To hundreds of voters.
But talking to a lot of voters. And I don't know if this will be good for him or not. But watching their strategy right now, they are very much leaning into this idea of him as this political prisoner, as a victim of this system. They clearly think that they can gain some sort of advantage. And so in this sort of context of talking about Trump and jail time, he was asked about, Hillary Clinton. He absolutely said, lock her up. And let's just go back to the tape.
Tell you what, for what she's done, they should lock her up. She's disgraceful. It's disgraceful.
So crooked Hillary, crooked, you should lock her up, I'll tell you.
Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary.
And in the interview, he also said that he could have locked her up, but he decided not to because he thought it would be a terrible thing for our country. So make of all of that what you will, but it's on tape. We got the receipts.
Yeah.